here for something other than the census in the wrong place, obviously. I want to introduce myself. I'm Michelle Grabowski. I'm the Technology Services Director here at the Middle Georgia Regional Commission. I'm also the LUCA Regional Coordinator. And for 24 of the 31 local governments in our region, I am your LUCA liaison. So good morning, happy Friday. I'm so glad it's Friday. I hope you guys think it's a great Friday as well. So we're going to go through some census created slides. So bear with me. The first thing I do want to talk to you guys about before we actually go into the slides is what we're going to be doing here at the Middle Georgia Regional Commission. And it's, we are your LUCA liaison, and we've been planning and conniving, no, not conniving, but planning for the LUCA review. In this case, Brent has been through the LUCA process for 2 times now. And so this will be my first time, and I'm a big planner, so.
2 times sounds better than 2 decades.
Yeah, so. It does. 2 decades does sound like.
I know.
So, I'm going to bring something up really quickly, just to kind of give you guys some information. First off, if you know anything about me, I'm a big planner. I really like to document things, and I like to flow things out. So Brent and I created this flow chart to kind of go through and kind of flow out the LUCA process. And if you're not sure what LUCA means, it's local update of census addresses. And again, just to give you more information about it, it's the one and only time a local government has to review the residential address list prior to the census, in this case, the 2020 census. So as a local government, you can review, add, update, and delete residential addresses. So it's really important to have a good census count, and that's why we're really taking the LUCA review process seriously. So we've got a flow chart here that NGRC created, and we want to not only assemble our local reviewers, and a lot of you, if you're in here, that you've been identified as a LUCA reviewer, and we're going to help you, help us go through this LUCA review process. And in some cases, a LUCA reviewer could be a technical person or non-technical person. And technical, meaning you can help us with the GIS work. Non-technical, meaning you know where all the residents in your community live. So we are in the middle of compiling some local address lists right now. Sources such as LINGAP data from our tax assessors, and then 911 addresses. So we're going to need that kind of information to kind of bump up against what the census is going to be providing us. So when the LUCA materials come to the LUCA liaison, in this case me, for 24 of the 31, we will have what the census has 10 years ago, right? So imagine a lot of your communities have grown. I hope so, yes. So we want to make sure that that is a good, solid foundation for the census count. So I know you probably heard this message, but I keep foot stomping it. But once the LUCA materials are received, then we have 120 days. That's it. That's all we get. We only get 120 days. So we've got to make sure and get that list back to the census so they can use that for their count. So in our case, for the Middle Georgia Regional Commission, we're going to be using a software called GUPS, which I'll have to get what that stands for. I think it's
Geographic Update Partnership Software.
Yay, thank you. Please, if you have questions, comments, shout them out. I'll give you a donut. So you'll see a little GUPS demo a little bit later. And it's not proprietary, but it's an open source GIS, QGIS software. And it will provide the correct output back to the census. So that's the reason why we're going to be using GUPS. So once we get the data, we'll get the census data, we'll load it into GUPS. We'll get the local source data, we'll load it into GUPS, and we'll do some comparison, and we'll have 120 days to get that output back to the census. There is some processes that occur after that submission process, which involve feedback materials that the census will give back. And there's a process of if the local government accepts the feedback or has an issue with the feedback with the census, so there's a review or an appeal process. So we'll actually put this flow chart out on our website. And since I'm bringing up the website, our Middle Georgia Regional Commission has all of the materials that we're talking about today. So you picked up some pamphlets. Those pamphlets are on our website. So if you have anybody in your local government that you want to make sure have the LUCA flyer or the BASS flyer, you can download that from our website and give that to them. Also, this presentation that I'm going through is on the website. There's a technical training briefing, which is about 200 pages. Really goes into the meat of what needs to be done, and we're not doing that today. And then the 100-page briefing, which is the one I'm going through, which is the general one, is on here as well. And then at the bottom, we've got some links, which will link out to the census website on GUPS, the Tiger Line chip files, and the geocoding. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Michelle,
Yes, sir.
can I interject here real quick? So you started out showing the flow chart that just outlines the general method that Middle Georgia RC as a liaison for a majority of our communities, our cities and counties, will undertake. But it also could serve as just a good guide to show you the processes that we're going to be undertaking throughout this LUCA process. That being said, it is available on the website, as Michelle said. Michelle, my question to you is, did we make a printout for that for this meeting? If not, I can go do that.
We can do that. And then if we're not the LUCA liaison, this is a good guideline for those who are not.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
those that are doing it on their own.
On their own.
How about I slip out and make a copy of this, and I'll make it available with the
It's on the
handout.
OneDrive.
Okay, great. 'Cause I say that because I can't read that.
Okay.
From back
Yeah,
there.
if you guys want a copy of that, we'll get a printout. So, the census has of course, their own website for LUCA, and we can provide that link to you guys as well. It's got a lot of great information. A lot of it is what we're going to talk about today. So, just a lot of great plethora of information for you guys to look at. And then I wanted to show you something really quickly, which is all of the participants in Georgia, and even the whole United States. You can actually zoom out and see who's all participating in the LUCA review. And we don't want to forget Alaska, because if anyone knows about me, I used to live in Alaska. So. But in our region, we have 100% participation. Yay! Oops. So that meant a lot of outreach to the HEOs, the highest elected official, to get all those LUCA registration forms in, identify all your LUCA reviewers, which hopefully you guys, everyone that's in this room is a LUCA reviewer, and then make sure that the census has all the right information. You guys have any questions so far?
Has anyone's clock started yet?
No, not yet, thankfully. I've heard that things are slipping to the right a little bit. So GUPS is a QGIS open source software package that the census uses for BASS, which is your boundary annexation survey, which is an annual process to annex your city limits. So GUPS being used for the LUCA review is still actually in development. And as anyone knows about the software development process, the life cycle of that can be a little taxing and it can take a little longer than anticipated. So we just recently received the beta of the GUPS software. And because of that, I think everything's kind of slipping over to the right a little bit, which everything is supposed to start at the beginning of February. That doesn't mean everything happens all at once in February. You know, all of the 31 counties are mailed their LUCA materials in February. It just means between February and May, those LUCA materials will start being mailed out. There's no rhyme or reason. You know, it's not from the A's to the Z's. It's just randomly is how it's been told to me. So, yeah. So once it happens, then we'll just start ticking away and getting those review processes going. Anybody else? Before I go on? Okay. All right, so we've got a quick agenda. Before I get into that, I just want to say that Matt is live streaming our presentation, and even our January 29th presentation, which I appreciate a lot of you guys. I know you registered for that one and moved over to this one, so I really appreciate that. We had a large crowd, a very large crowd at that session. And so we even live streamed that, and that's on our YouTube video, or our YouTube channel. So if you didn't know, Georgia has a YouTube channel, and this is being live streamed now, and then you can see the presentation later if you want to. So we've got an agenda. We're just going to go through the slides. We're going to talk about ducks. And we're going to talk about kind of preparing for the review. So we're going to talk about some of the terminology that the census uses. So there's a decennial, I'm not sure I can say that, decennial census, which is the 2020 census, which means every 10 years, is to count the population in your area. And of course, census data is used for a lot of different things, enforcing voter rights, distributing federal dollars. A lot of you guys apply for grants, and so that's really important. The census data is used a lot for statistics and decision making. So it's really, really important to have a good, accurate count of your community. And this is a great slide that the census put together. And again, this presentation is on the website if you want to download it, and it's available, and you can utilize it to whatever needs you need. So, you know, it's really important to count your residents. And I know that the census has talked about doing a different method for counting the residents. I know for the last census they were going door to door. I think they're even, for this upcoming 2020 census, they'll be utilizing, you know, web and mobile, giving the residents an opportunity to utilize those technologies. And even maybe, you know, providing those tablets and mobile devices for the people to be counted. And if not, then actually going back to doing the methodology. So we know why the census is important. And so let's talk about who can participate. So federally recognized tribes, states and counties, incorporated places like towns and villages. One of the things that I think a lot of you guys, if you're LUCA reviewers, needed to be aware of is that the LUCA materials themselves are held under Title 13 of the U.S. Code, which means it's confidential and secure. And if you're a LUCA liaison, you're held to protecting that material. In our case, here at Middle Georgia Regional Commission, we have secured a server, which is only accessible by the LUCA reviewers. And so nobody else in our office can access that server, which will house the LUCA materials for your local government. And at the end of the process, we will destroy those materials. I will destroy those materials, and I will stand down that server, so it's not accessible at any other point. Now, the census can come in and do a spot check. They can make sure that I'm doing my job and that I've secured the data for you guys because you've entrusted me to protect the data. And so as a LUCA reviewer, you are also held under Title 13 U.S. Code, which means that if I give Mervin this list and she's not a LUCA reviewer, then I've done the wrong thing, right? I've compromised the data. And then I could go to jail. And I could be fined. So it's really important to understand the importance of protecting the LUCA materials. So that's what all these slides are about, basically. The LUCA schedule, the 2020 LUCA schedule is pretty much, has been set for quite a while now, and we're kind of in the waiting for the materials phase right now. There is a phase of feedback, and then of course getting ready for the big census. So we're gonna talk about terminology, we're gonna talk about Census Bureau terminology. We're gonna go into detail about what that means. Do we have any questions? Anybody? Everyone's awake, do we need a quick stretch? Okay, good. All right, housing unit, single family homes, townhomes, mobile homes, trailers, apartments. So they want you to be familiar with the terms that they're using because that's how they're gonna, all their literature is gonna be using those terms. The Gov software will have those terms in there, so they just wanna make sure that everyone is familiar with those, what that means. So acceptable housing units. Again, I'm not gonna read everything here, but houses, any houses that are under construction that'll be habitable. Somebody say that. Habitable. Before the census. So if there's some stuff in construction right now that you know that'll be available and ready to go before 2020, then we definitely need to know about that kind of stuff to make sure we count those apartments or housing units. Group quarters, so a large entity living in a group environment, nursing homes, prisons.
Okay, so prisoners all can.
Let's make sure what say that word.
And what about dormitories, Carlton?
Yes, I believe so.
So you would go to each dormitory?
Well, not we wouldn't, but
Yeah.
let's see. So acceptable group quarters, correction facilities, state federal prisons, group homes, halfway homes, nursing homes, homeless shelters.
And that includes dormitories.
It's gonna be in the next one, yeah. So mental hospitals, college dorms, religious group quarters, anything under construction. So again, there seems to be a theme here. Make sure that you know of some new construction that's going on in your community. So is this?
Michelle, can I
Yes.
jump in on that? So during the last LUCA that we did for 2010, the census at that time simply required a count for like a particular apartment complex. And so what we did as reviewers, we called the department manager and asked for their current count of residents or the number of units really with an address for residential. And they provided that. But this time, Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, they're going to want to have verified addresses instead of just a count for these group quarters. And so one of the things to keep in mind if you're on our review team, if you're listed as a reviewer, is to be cognizant of, since the last 10 years, any new apartment complexes that may be in your community. Obviously, the larger, more urban kind of areas are going to need to be more aware of this, but those communities with dormitory situations or correctional institutions, you've got them all. Yeah, we are going to need to capture those unit numbers and being in contact with those institutions and the managers of those institutions rather should be able to provide us with that information.
And you
So go ahead.
it's actually how many people would live at, like, you said, like in a dorm, you've got one address, but say 100. So
But let's say the school gives you a list of all addresses, but maybe 90% of them are occupied. It can't hurt to give the census all addresses that are available, because this is what we learned the last two times. And William from the Census Bureau in Atlanta confirmed this. Look, send it in, and it's their job to review, all of the addresses you send them. You'd rather err on the side of sending in too many than too little. Okay.
So they would actually count how many people's in that address, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right, it's their job. What we're doing is really trying to give them the most accurate, up-to-date address information, but it's still the census's job to take that and run their processes on it, and then send out surveys, the questionnaires to those residents.
So transitory locations, movable and mobile housing, boats and RV parks, hotels, motels, marinas. So unacceptable housing units, general orders and transitory locations. Anything under construction or remodeling or conversion to a non-residential purpose. So they want to make sure that you understand what they're looking for. So city style addresses is important for the GUP software. So when I'm asking for some local residential addresses, I'm being very specific in the fields that I am requesting. And so city style addresses is just the way that the census wants their address list in a particular format. And so that we're kind of doing that process while we've got this time waiting on the materials. So I'm not really going to go into that. LUCA liaison, is anybody in here a LUCA liaison besides myself? Everybody in here LUCA reviewers? Okay, all right, so the LUCA liaison is just responsible for safeguarding the LUCA materials and destroying the LUCA materials and the main point of contact. If you guys don't already have my information, please see me afterwards, so you've got good contact information. So as a LUCA reviewer, you signed your confidentiality agreement form, and you will be involved in the LUCA review process. And again, you are also responsible for safeguarding the materials. And at the end of the process, I will have to get your signature to sign out that you're no longer a LUCA reviewer. We'll go to that. There are some tools that the census is saying that you can use prior to the LUCA review starting, and that's reviewing the address block counts, which you can download from the census website, and then join that to the Tiger shapefiles and do a comparison, and that could give you an area of where you may want to focus on. So in some cases, the product, the LUCA materials themselves can come in two different types of formats, well actually a couple of different types of formats, but digital and paper. And in our case, we're requesting digital for the local governments. We have one local government who's asked for paper products, so they'll get like a paper map and paper list of addresses, and that particular community is very small, so that's a little bit more manageable for them. So in this case, they're talking about, you only have 120 days to go through the LUCA review, and you need to understand that process. And you need to differentiate between residential addresses versus commercial addresses. And so those are definitely things that we have on our mind that we're going to be looking at.
With that, how do you do loft dwellings?
Loft dwellings?
Because like the address was named to say on Hancock Street, 130 East Hancock Street. But
So they sublet out their apartment, kind of?
So
and
commercial.
upstairs is all loft.
So if I can take that one, so that goes to what we were talking about a little bit earlier, is if it's one address for a bunch of lots, so to speak, there still will be a way, like a unit number for those lots. When mail comes to that general address where they distribute that mail internally, that's where a call to the loft management company should be able to provide like a list or a spreadsheet of the number of lofts they have and their unit numbers. And then we then would say, let's say it's 100 Brent Avenue, Unit 1. Let's say they have 20 units, Unit 1 through Unit 20. So that would be 20 addresses.
And like Unit 1 and 2 with the commercial parts, you would just delete Unit 1.
You wouldn't put those in,
Yeah,
right?
you just delete the commercial.
Right. Just residential.
Remember that means you have to take a donut.
There's a lot of work.
Well, That'll be fun stuff, right? So potential address sources, these are just giving you some ideas of those. We have kind of decided that we're going to ask the tax assessors for WICAP data and then 911 data, which we're in the process of doing now. So this is the census's process for kind of preparing for the LUCA review. And you've seen what we're going to be doing in our pre-activities. We're going to skip this and we're going to go straight into GUPS. So GUPS is an open source platform, QGIS, and it is used for the BAS submissions as well. And it is being tailor-made for the LUCA review process. And it has its own security considerations built into it. And the reason why we are going to be utilizing it is because the output process is in the specific output that the census requires. And so we're not going to take any chances, we're going to use GUPS. And it seems very intuitive and very easy to use. So, and none of our communities have more than 300,000 residential addresses. And that seems to be a limitation for us. All right, so give me a minute here. Let's start this demo. Before I go into that, does anybody have another question? Rick does.
Michelle, if we can
Rick
back,
gets another.
yeah, maybe we can back up for a second and, just curious, how many people have worked on LUCA before that's in the room? I mean, who has some LUCA experience? So a majority of you guys have not gone through a LUCA process. So Michelle, in some cases, what you demonstrated and in some other cases kind of skip through some of the documentation really is the technical / GIS component of reviewing as a gut reviewer. Many of you in this room you're going to be a reviewer from a residential knowledge and knowing the geography of your region. Would that be the case with a lot of you? So with that in mind, Michelle, when we talk about things like GUPS, which is a GIS-based software program, I think what we want to do is just give you a look. We want you as reviewers to know what this is, know its general functionality, but we're going to be providing assistance to you. So we want to give you that level of assurance that you're not going to have to take this, download it, and digest it yourself, and then just figure it out. So for those of you, I think a majority of you in the room have chosen us to assist you with this process as the liaison. We're going to be doing a lot of the technical heavy lifting for you. So what we're going to really be asking of you is your knowledge expertise of your communities. Where are those new apartment complexes? And by new, we mean in the last 10 years. Let's take a look, and what we will do is we'll pull up GUPS, we'll show the residential addresses that are listed, and we'd like you guys to kind of maybe be there with us for a work session.
Yes.
Look at the addresses and go, hey, wait a minute. I'm kind of noticing that there's some neighborhoods that aren't even listed here. Let's zoom into that area, and then that would cue us as your technical expert to help you try to get those addresses listed. So we're going to help you target and do that. And I just wanted to kind of interject this to let you know that what we're doing, what Michelle's doing specifically, is just giving you a good overall, overarching, if you will, demonstration of what this process is like. And it is, as she said earlier, it's a mixture of technical review versus general expert in your area kind of review. And so we know we have probably a weighted mixture of folks who are more on that latter side. And so with that in mind, Michelle, I just wanted to kind of interject that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That makes
and let
sense.
you know that you can kind of take a deep breath and know that you're not going to have to do a lot of this technical work. We're going to do that for you. But what we're really relying on is you being experts in your city or county. Kind of help us. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, this is a very short video, so.
Welcome to the Geographic Update Partnership Software, GUPS, LUCA demonstration. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention that GUPS is based on open source GIS program with QGIS, and it's free and easy to use. GUPS is being used for all of the geographic programs, including LUCA, and it's been created specifically to ease the processing and review process for users. Although any user can use the GUPS, we found that it's particularly useful for those governments that are about 300,000 addresses or less. One of the big reasons why we're pushing this is because it is fully supported by the Census Bureau, so if anybody has any problems along the way, they'll be able to call in and get their problems resolved without any kind of other knowledge. Additionally, it's standardizes the submission process and has extensive validation tools to prevent incorrect submissions by participants. When you first open the GUPS software, you're going to be presented with this window right here. It's the map management window. What the map management window does is it allows you to choose the program that you are working on. In our case, it's LUCA. And you also have the ability to later open a recent project so that you don't have to go through the entire installation setup process that we'll be going through right now. So after you select the LUCA program, you'll be asked where your data is going to be. Now for participants, it'll be on the CD or DVD, but for the demonstration, we're going to use my computer. As I navigate to the data, I'll just remind everyone that this is non-Title 13, so there's no worries. All testing data. Because it's supposed to be Title 13, you're presented with the Title 13 window where you'll have to input your password that's provided by the census. After you click OK, the files begin to extract. As you can see, they would have been coming off of a disk. You're then presented with the window that allows you to choose which counties you want to view at this time. This particular entity is within one county, so if there's only one county on the screen. However, if you have an entity that's in multiple counties, you'll be able to choose from any of the multiple counties or just one of them. As you click open, GUPS begins to load in all the necessary data, all the layers, the address list, the address count list, and all the symbology to make it easy and quick for the user so that they don't have to search and figure out how to set everything up for them. This is all taken care of by the GUPS software. After the data is loaded, you'll see that you are presented with this map window, which shows all of the necessary layers for completing your LUCA program. You will have the census address list on the bottom of the screen, and you will also notice this user address list tab, which I'll get to in a minute. You will also see the address count list that is on the right. And then at the top of the screen, you'll see all your GIS or standard GIS boxes. So this top toolbar up here is for all your standard GIS, such as zoom and pan, deselecting items, saving. The second toolbar down here, this toolbar is all of the LUCA-specific tools needed to complete the LUCA review and submission. You have a show hide legend, which is for showing the toolbar on the side, so you can see which layers are active and inactive. Because LUCA needs a lot of screen space, we decided to start it with a close, but it can be open at any time. You also have a validation tool, which is the address review tool, which we'll be going over later. You have the export to zip, which is how a user is going to be able to create their submission. And you also have a couple of print buttons and the add imagery button. What I'd like to do is try to go over what a typical submission, or what we would call, an A+ partner, somebody who's well prepared for the LUCA program and may have their own address list in a digital form. They may have already had all their addresses geocoded using our geocoder tool or service, and they probably started a review of their address counts by using our address count download tool. For something like that, their first step would probably be to go.
We're gonna pause it right here so I can, kind of just add a little bit of clarification. So, what the census, this is the census technical expert, demonstrating the GUPS software program. And, again, GUPS is gonna be that very technical, computer mapping application that you use for the review. When he talked about an A+ LUCA, user, or community, what he was referring to is, a community that has, like Michelle mentioned earlier, provided their own local address data sources. It could be from a 911 center, it could be from an addressing department, or it could be derived from your property appraisal, your county property appraisal database. Michelle mentioned WinGap. That's a predominant, that's the database that's used predominantly in Middle Georgia. So Windows-based Georgia Appraisal Program. And it has all the properties that the tax assessors maintain this database. So what we think is the combination of those two will probably, mashed up together, will probably produce a nice local address database. In some cases, some cities or counties may have their own local address database that would be the best option. That is an optional upload into this GUPS program. Okay, that's what he's referring to as an A+ user. Because then you can do some comparative. You can say, well, this is what we say our addresses are. Let's take a look at what you, the census, say our addresses are. And that's the Title 13 component, what the census provides. What the local government provides in contrast for comparison is not Title 13 because that's your own data. So he's saying the best of both worlds. GUPS will take and integrate the local source data and their Title 13 protected address data, and we can use it to do some validations and some processes to integrate what's missing. So that's what's great about using GUPS, is it's going to do a lot of that hard work for us. At a bare minimum, if there is a community that just simply doesn't have a good source of local address databases, and there might be such a case, at a bare minimum, the GUPS tool will be used to import, we will import the census address database, Title 13 data, into GUPS, and without using a comparative data set for the local government, the process will be for our knowledge experts, the reviewers from each community, to look at what the census is showing as the addresses, and then for your feedback to go, okay, it looks like this is pretty complete, and we see the map, and we also see the tabular data, the table-based data. You guys will kind of look at it and go, wow, we're missing, the Springfield neighborhood in this community, and I can show you up here on the map. Zoom into this area, and we can zoom in, low aerial photography that's pretty current, and see it. We go, oh, well, this is a black. We're going to enter this information. We're going to use a software program to tell the census that their Title 13 master address database is not complete. So some of the things that technical experts do, like the census guy, is they'll talk to you as if you are a GIS expert, a computer mapping expert. And I know a lot of you in the room aren't. Some of you are, but some of you are not. So I just wanted to, hopefully I'm not being too redundant, I just wanted to kind of give you my interpretation of this. And so that's kind of where we are. So we're at the point where he actually has the Title 13 data loaded and a local address database loaded as well. Okay? Thank you.
Can I ask?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if it's the right time or not, or if we're getting to it, but what will we be getting? Are you planning, you're getting all of the digital information on a secured server.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be sending any of that digitally to us, correct?
No.
Will we be getting any paper maps and documents, or are we going to be coming here to review? How's all that going?
I think that's the preferred mode. Michelle's gonna work with each of you on a review team for your community to decide the best way to do that. I'll defer to her on what her thoughts are in that regard. However, we do have the ability to print out data, but it's Title 13. And
Right.
it's best looked at in a closed environment. We could not email it to you in fear of that it would be, that data packet would be captured or hacked or went to the wrong person, or we couldn't control where someone copies it, sends it somewhere else.
Okay.
So a lot of cases, this is a great question. Let's say the mayor of a city finds out kind of late in the game, oh, this LUCA thing, I just heard about this at the regional commission. Show me one of those maps you got there. Well, you're a Title 13 registered confidential user, the mayor is not. And this is a tough thing. You have to tell the mayor that he or she cannot look at that. Because if you do let them, then you're technically in violation of the law. So the easy solution is, Mayor, I absolutely want you to see this. Let me call Census, or in this case, Middle Georgia, call Michelle, and we'll get you registered quickly as a reviewer. And that's the process. That's how you handle that. But to answer your question, what I think we prefer is to have very, very tight controlled work sessions with review teams.
So when the LUCA materials are mailed to me, I'll receive a disc with the LUCA data on it for the city of Perry, in your case, Marion. And then I'll receive a CD with the GUT software. And so we'll be able to take that and load it into our secure server, and that's what we'll have. Yeah, and so Brent described it perfectly, that we'll then contact you guys, assemble the team, you spend a couple of days or figure out when is the best time for you guys to come in and kind of go into one of the conference rooms, and we'll just hack it out, so.
Yeah, and it's going to take some coordination, because as you can guess, the Middle Georgia region has 30 plus local governments, 11 counties and 20 cities. So we are the liaison for a majority of them. So, and we have 120-day, calendar day timestamps once that material is received. Michelle will notify you that on this date, your LUCA needs to be completed, the review needs to be done. So we're going to need to fit everyone in these sometimes overlapping windows of time. And so, bear with us and try to be as flexible as you can with your review team.
The other thing that I'm going to promise to do, and I sent a letter out to the highest elected official, and let them know kind of our steps in our process. But I'm going to also, like Brent was saying, once I receive that material, I'm going to let everybody who is identified as a LUCA reviewer and the HEO know that we've received it, and this is our deadline, and kind of keep you guys in the loop of what's going on with the whole process.
And one bit of, I hate to keep using this word, assurance to everyone, because there was a lot of stress related to the 2010 LUCA process, and it was a big success in Middle Georgia, and in Georgia in general. This is just simply one additional means that the census is giving you as a community to have some say and to review and possibly update the database they're going to use when they send out their surveys to all the residences in the U.S. to do the census. Just rest assured that this is not all, the weight of this is not on you to make sure the census does its job correctly. They still have that overall burden and responsibility, regardless of whether you as a community participated in LUCA or not. And we highly recommend that you do. Obviously, you all are. But even if you didn't, it is still the census's responsibility to count that community, to count the community that even didn't participate. This, though, is just a way for us, you as a community, to help them be more accurate and for you to get a better count, because every one person that's missed is maybe like $13,000 a year in potential funding that your local government could receive to leverage in the community. So, I mean, don't hold me to 13,000, but I know it's in the, Michelle will tell you the exact figure, but it's a lot, and it's exponential. So overall, the assurance point is do your best, try, anything you add, value add to this LUCA review process is great in terms of helping the census be more accurately counted in your community. But don't feel like you have this overwhelming burden, because I think I sensed that last time, 10 years ago, where we had communities just really stressing, oh my goodness, it's going to take us forever to review all these addresses. Well, it is, but technology's gotten better now with GUPS, which is the program they're using. And the process is being a little bit, we were kind of in a transition point in 2010, going completely digital, believe it or not, versus a lot of communities going hard copy. And that was a time-consuming point. The census folks told us, almost as a joke, that they weren't joking, that some communities that are rather large have requested hard copy process, non-digital, and they had to have like a renter truck full of maps and papers to deliver to the community, and it's like stacked to the wall in papers, or in map where you have to just sit down and go through it. That's tremendously time-consuming, and that's the old way. So the new digital way can be a little intimidating if you haven't jumped into using computer mapping software. That's why I feel like the regional commission can be a resource for you. We can do that kind of work for you, expose you to the software, and then next go around, everyone's going to be doing it themselves anyway, and it'll be easy as that. So we're getting there from a national standpoint. I just wanted to take a few seconds to kind of explain where we were with this particular demonstration, because the census technical guys can kind of just assume you know what we're talking about, and I don't necessarily know. So thanks.
I have one
Oh,
question.
yes.
If we do an annexation for, say, the master school, would they still be counted?
Michelle just got an update on that. I don't want to throw her in the bus for this answer, but I believe in last year's
was the
cutoff.
official, what the census is saying, the cutoff for
Right.
providing the annexation for the upcoming 2020 census. Now,
But there's a but.
but there's a but.
Yeah.
So they will try, for this year to put that in. There is a process that they take to take those annexations and try to incorporate it into, remember, it's the whole United States, and trying to get that into the census. And so they said that they will try for the 2018. So.
They're guaranteeing last year, but they're trying for this year. They're going to try their best.
Yeah. I think there's the cost right there for a person not being counted.
Okay.
That was given to us from DCA just recently.
So $1,339 per person per year. But then in the exponential math there is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So yeah, that to me is just amazing. The cost of being sure you count your residents, but rather not counting them, what you might be losing in potential funding.
Okay. So we'll go back to the GUPS demo real quick.
Look, this user address list has an import their address list. When you import your address list, there's two ways to import. They must both be in CSV or text file, and then when you select the CSV file, you'll present this import options window. The import options window allows you to either map your import headers, in which case you can say that, on my user address list, the state is put in this column, known as state FP, where the county is in county FP, and so on and so forth. By doing this, you can have a dynamic user address list that will allow you to edit the address list, save the address list, assign GeoIDs, view your map spots if you have lat and long coordinates, and add directly to the census address list from the user address list. If your address list doesn't have all this information, or isn't really going to work in that kind of manner, but you still like to be able to see it, you can use the view as a read-only reference table. If you select that, you will not be able to map any of the import headers, and the table that you are importing will import directly as it would show up in any other software. You'll be able to sort the columns, but you won't be able to edit or save or see any of the map spots. To get the full use of GUPS, you be better to map the import headers, so I'm gonna finish doing that. As you can see, the only two fields that are required are house number and street name. However, the more that you can map, the better, and the less that you will have to potentially fix when you choose to add them directly to the census address list. Now you can see that I've mapped all these fields, and all I have to do is select the OK button, and the addresses are quickly imported into the user address list. Fortunately for me, they all have GeoIDs, which is great because what happens when they're imported is in the address count list, which has been updated for 2020, we have a local housing unit count and a local GQ count, as you can see here and here. So what happens is that when you load the census data, the original housing unit and current housing unit numbers will be populated for you. As soon as you add in the local housing unit, this will be populated for you. Then there is a sum done in the difference so that you can see where the biggest discrepancies are in housing units and group quarters between what the census has and what the local has. This is probably one of the easiest ways to start a review for a participant. If a participant imported addresses that have map spots but for whatever reason do not have a GeoID, that address will not be calculated in the count. However, if that address is still located within their jurisdiction, they can simply highlight it, click the Assign GeoID button, and as you can see here, what GUPS will do is auto-populate the state county tract block and GeoID fields based on where that Latin long coordinate is on the map. This is a really neat feature, and it's going to be very helpful for the users that don't have GeoID in their data. It also happens extremely quickly, and then as you can see, you get an action code C because technically that address has been edited in some manner. When it comes to doing your review, as I said before, one of the easiest ways and probably the best way to start for somebody who is unsure of what they should be doing is to, after they've loaded their user address list, is to sort by difference in housing units or sort by difference in GQs. This is going to let you see where the biggest differences are between a local data and the census data. At this point, you can select one of these blocks, which have a difference of 22 and 17 respectively, and it will zoom to that block. If you select the V-Select tool, you can see that the black dots are the census address points, and the blue triangles are the user address points. And you can see that there's clearly a bunch of user addresses that the census appears to not have. If after a little bit more research, you find that the census list truly does not have these addresses, the easiest way to get them into the census address list is to click on the user address list tab, click on the selection tool in the user address list, highlight them on the map, and you can see they've all been selected, and just click the Add to Census List button. Now what's happening up here is this is being recalculated, and as you can see now these are zeroed out because the census list and the local list have the same amount of addresses in this block. And as you can see on the user address list, because they were moved, they all have an N action code. And in the census address list, all those addresses have been added, and they will all have an A action code. After you click Save, all the folding will become regular prompt to let you know that all the information has been saved to the table. If you'd no longer like to see both sets of data on top of each other like this, we've added a checkbox that will allow the user to no longer see all of their user addresses, but only see the addresses that haven't been moved to the census address list. Simply by checking this box off, you can now see that we still have the blue triangles for user addresses that haven't been moved to the census list, but anything that has been moved to the census list no longer appears. It's just a small piece that might help the user with determining what data is theirs and what is on the census list. If you performed your review and you find that the census list is pretty much correct, however, there's some sort of error within the list itself, in the address, there's two ways to go about editing that address. Because the address list is designed similar to a spreadsheet, you can simply double click in a cell, the cell highlights, and then you can edit the address as you need. When you click out of the cell, the editing cell will become bolded to let you know that you've edited, and there will be an automatic C action code for change placed in the action column. If I decided I didn't need that, or I made a mistake, and I want to go back, I can simply hit the clear edits button, and what we'll do is remove the edits that are in bold and return you back to what was there before. If the other way to edit an address is to select the entire address row, select the edit button, and the address update pop-up window will appear to the right. This window allows you to see all of the address information in one tight little area so that you can edit or change or potentially add a map spot or move a map spot. For this, we're just going to edit the street name, and then we're going to add a map spot. So this will be Neptune Road. And then to add a map spot, you just click the Add Map Spot button, click where you want to add this new map spot. You get a crosshair, you hit the OK button, and as you can see, as soon as you hit the Add Map Spot, as soon as you hit on the map, the lat and long are populated for you, as well as the state, county, tract, and block are populated as well. You hit the OK button, and the address point is added, as well as all of these edits. You hit the Save button, and the changes have been saved. If you find that an address is not in your jurisdiction, you can simply highlight the address, select the Out of Jurisdiction button, and a J will be assigned to that address. Similarly, if you find that an address is non-residential or should not be in the address list at all, you can simply select the address, select the non-residential button or the delete button, and they will be populated with an N or D respectively. Again, just hit the Save button, and the edits will be saved. It's a good reminder to always use the Save button as often as you can. Additionally, for people with larger address lists, what you'll see in the census address list window is this little select button in the bottom. What this drop-down menu does is it allows you to filter either by certain fields, where you want to find all the addresses that have Bluegrass Road right here. You'll be able to type that in using the column filter, or you can filter by block. So if I wanted to just see the addresses in this block, I hit the block filter, I then select this button at the top for the selection tool. I select the block highlighted. I select the search button back down here. And now, the only addresses that are showing in my address list are the 28 out of the 805 that currently are in this block. And of course, we have a bunch with 8 because we had so many from the user address list. If you needed to have more than one block, say you were comparing what's on one side of the street versus something on the other side of the street, which I imagine is extremely typical for users, you can do that as well using the same tool. Use a block filter, the selection tool, say we'll select this block, and this block, you use the control key, push that block. Now we've got 2 blocks selected. You hit the search button, and now we've got both of those blocks in this list. Of course, there's only one address in that one block, right here. Lastly, and of course saving the best for last, is that with this version of GUPS, we have a ton of built-in validations for the address list. So let's say a person would like to edit an address in the census address list. But they incorrectly put in a zip code that only has 4 digits. The validations can be as simple as that. They'll check to make sure that there's 5 digits in the zip, and can get as complicated as checking to see that the lat long coordinate for this address is located within the block that it says it's in, and make sure that the block and tract and block are valid for the person's jurisdiction. Now, I know that sounds very complicated, but what that does is it helps prevent the user from submitting addresses that they shouldn't be submitting, or submitting incorrect addresses. It makes our processing life a lot easier and straightforward. Now, if this is what I put in, and there's clearly an error here, when I click the Save Edits button, validations are currently being run, and you get a census error list. If I click on this address, which is the same address that's right here, and click Fix, and the address update window pops up, and it gives me exactly what's wrong with this address. Yes, again, in this case, the zip code needs to be 5 digits, and it's only 4. So I can simply change that to 5, and select OK, and the address will no longer be in the error list, and the address gets saved to the address list. At this point, if I've completed my review, there's only 2 steps left before I can completely submit. The first step is to use this address review tool at the top of the screen, which again performs all the validations that you see throughout the saving and editing process, but additionally checks for duplicates for the entire address list. Now, for me, I know that this shouldn't have any errors because we didn't make a ton of changes, and again, as you see, there's not a lot of errors. From there, I can go to the Export to Zip button, which nice and neatly exports the entire submission, zips and encrypts it, and prepares it so that you can submit it through Swing. Additionally, if there were some sort of validation error that occurred between doing the address review tool and the export to zip, another set of validations are run very quickly to make sure that that hasn't happened. When you select that button and your file passes, you are presented with the contact information form. If you wish to update it, you can, but it's completely up to you. You select the OK button, and all your data has been zipped and encrypted and placed in this location, so you can select the Yes button to see where that is. And as you can see, you have 2 different files in here. The reason why is because you have this file, which is for your address returns, and in the event that you have made edits to the contact page or have made linear feature road updates, they would be a shapefile that was zipped into this one. At this point, you can select both of these, or one or the other, and submit them to SWIM for your submission. And this concludes your GUPS demonstration.
As Frank mentioned, this is a very technical process, and I thought it was important just to kind of show you guys what we'll be going through, and in some cases for the GIS users in the group, what the GUPS system looks like. One other thing I want to talk about is if you had any HEO changes, so if you had a new mayor elected in your local government or county commissioner appointed, I need to definitely know about those changes. And then if they have been changes, such as the city of Gray has a new mayor, so that new mayor needs to sign the registration form and needs to get resubmitted back into the census to let them know about that HEO change, highest elected official. So we're kind of coming to a close. Does anyone have any questions?
Now, excuse me. My chairman's coming up for re-election this year. So,
This year?
So he's still in term till the end of the year, so
Correct.
that's okay?
Right. So we just had some new elections, new mayors put in place January the 1st.
Okay.
And so for the city of Milledgeville, I know you guys have had a change, right? And so I need to get her signature on this form. I will, I have it at my desk, so before you leave, I'll give it to you and you'll take care of it for me. Perfect. All right.
Okay, so it's just, as long as it's submitted this year.
Right, so LUCA registration deadline was December the 15th. And so most everybody, well, 100% of you guys, submitted that in through me or through yourselves. And then if we had new elected officials come into terms this year, at the beginning of this year, then before the LUCA starts, those need to be identified to the census. So if you guys walk away from this meeting and have more questions, and you don't have my contact information, just come see me so you have it. But if you do, if you don't, or if you do have it and have more questions, just give me a call, send me an email. I'm pretty responsive. So any other ideas, thoughts, comments, questions? Want to share your weekend plans with me? Okay, great. Thank you guys so much for coming. Tim, don't leave, I need to talk to you. And Jeff, Thank you guys.